Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. You're right on time for Good Morning Kenya, the Western Spectrum edition, where we discuss issues that affect people from this part of the country and, of course, at large, the country at large. And, of course, this Monday morning, we are discussing human trafficking and modern-day slavery. Of course, this is an issue that is a menace in this country. And I'll just give you statistics. About 20,000 children are trafficked each and every year in this country. Of course, a bigger portion of that comes from out of the country, but again, the other chunk comes from this country. What is really the cause of that, and how do we, again, navigate through that situation to ensure that indeed we remedy the situation? To take us through exactly what we should be doing today, or what the government should be doing, is Karen Manesi, who is the project manager of a anti-human trafficking project that is actually domiciled here in the western part of the country under the Salvation Army Western Territory. Karibu sana, Karen.
Asante.
Yes, Karen, 20,000 children being trafficked in the country every year. That is alarming.
Yeah, it's a number that is alarming, and even as in the project and the project practitioners, it's a challenge we've always experienced, in a way that Kenya is known as destination and a transit area where children are trafficked in Kenya, and we have other children who come from different countries. Like most of the time we get children from Uganda in Karamoja areas who come along the way to Kenya up to the central part of the country. And I know those are some of the areas where these children go settle. We have children are coming even from Tanzania who arrive in Kenya. Then from there, they make some arrangement for them to move to other different countries. And it is alarming, and the statistics, it is a reality, because we've seen it. We've had it, and it's also in news all over. And these children are taken to different countries for the purpose of exploitation, in a way that like some of them go for Al-Shabaab recruitment. Others, they go even to an extent of working in farms, like we're working. Most of them are even underage, and therefore they experience what you call exploitation. So those
Karen,
are some of the things.
Human trafficking, quite often, before we move into the causes of human trafficking, right? We always tend to look at it as something that is does not belong to this country. Can only be practiced away or far away from this country. So what exactly is human trafficking?
Okay. Human trafficking is the illegal movement of people from one place to another, specifically for the purpose of exploitation. That is like the definition part of it. It's a noun. But when we go to the law defines human trafficking as like a movement of people through threats, coercion, and for the purpose of deceptive activities. So when these children are moved from one place to another specifically for the purpose of exploitation, that's what we call now human trafficking or modern slavery. So that is the bigger definition of the word.
What exactly is fueling parents and, of course, people or guardians that are actually closely related to these children and any other person to decide that I'm going to, traffic this child to wherever destination?
The most thing that is fueling this, you will understand that according to the research, or according to the statistics, human trafficking is the largest income generating activity after drug trafficking. So it is a business activity.
What's illegal?
Yeah, it's a business activity where people are getting income from it. So what fuels these parents is some of them have engaged into these activities for the purpose of business to earn income. Others tend to think because of poverty, which is the main and apparent cause to these issues of human trafficking, they say it's better if they can sell their children to get some of the income. And some of them say because of the income, the high life nowadays is too expensive. That's why they are now engaging in those activities. So there are so many, before we go into causes, there are so many things that are also fueling this activity. And it is...
What are these activities?
One, One is the poverty, as I've said, and poverty is the bigger part of it. The second one is unemployment, and the third one is we have illiteracy. Like most of our people are lied to. Some of them, they don't have this information of modern slavery, so they're lied to because of the high literacy level they have. We have the wars. We have the political instability. Like I can give an example. In 2007, you knew what happened in our country. We had a lot of issues, especially in areas of Nyanza, Eldoret, western part of the country. You remember people were running just looking for the security purposes. So those are some of the areas that leads to these children or these people to be trafficked, because we will get there is a disorganizations in the family patterns. Like fathers are running for their safety, children are running for their safety, mothers are running for their safety. So you find that all people are at risk. They can be trafficked and they will experience such an issue. When it comes to wars, you've seen what happens in even Mount Elgon and any other war that is in place. And then those natural calamities, they are also fueling this. They lead to modern slavery and human trafficking. We have the domestic violence in our houses. For instance, if a lady goes through a lot of torture, some of them tend to be vulnerable, and if somebody comes in and promises maybe a job somewhere, they would rather go for that instead of staying in that marriage that it has a lot of exploitation and all that. So basically, those are some of the things that are fueling these issues of human trafficking, and that is why we see our people are vulnerable to it.
1,000 children. When you break it down per day, that is when you divide it by 365, you get around 50 children per day. In an hour, those are around 3 children per hour. Yes. That in itself is a big number that can't go unnoticed by our authorities. What exactly is happening?
What is happening is there is a lot of corruption. There is a lot of bribery.
Corruption and bribery keeps rearing its ugly head, basically in everything.
Yes, it's by the in everything. For instance, what we fail to understand is how can children move all the way from an example from Karamoja areas in Uganda to Kenya, entry point, maybe Busia border, then from there to those central part of the country. Don't you think that is an alarm that even those people, the practitioners at the immigration office, there might be something that is happening that for us we don't really understand. So it is something we need to look into it, and we are also calling upon the national government so that you can see if you can come together and start rescuing or saving our children, because that is a number that is alarming. We have issues of bribery, as I've said. For example, if I can say, I have a case currently. We had 2 grandparents. They wanted to, a grandfather and a grandmother, they wanted to sell a child just for the purpose of cultural practices. And they were taken to court. In fact, the village elder is the one who reported this parent. But what happened, they were taken to the police station. And then after some time, there was a negotiation in a way that they came out with bond. So that one is also a challenge, because if the law is clear that if somebody is found in issue of trafficking, they're supposed they're supposed to stay life sentence in jail or to pay 30, is it 3 million or 30 million, so that they can come out of this. Now you see, this parent who is selling a child at 150,000, and then a fine is around 30 million. You see, that is something that will even discourage. It's something to fear about, because the charges are very expensive. So as a country, we need to see how are we going to get out of this corruption, how are we going to get out of these issues of bribery. At the same time, not only corruption and bribery, even our own parents, we tend to sell our children or to give out our children, or even us ourselves, because modern slavery is not only for children, it is for both genders, men, women, and even children, both girls and boys. Even parents, we see, they're also getting involved into this knowingly and unknowingly, especially if we have young girls who've given birth to children and then they want to go and look for income. You see, the parents tend to tell them, go and look for income so that you can raise this child. Yeah. So it is an area of concern. So we need also to talk to them so that they can see the side effect of it and all that. And then also,
when you talk, they want to, you have a case currently, handling a case of parents wanting to give out their child over or sell their child over cultural beliefs and practices. What exactly do you mean?
yeah, cultural beliefs is when we did that research, we go to the ground and talk to these families. Like we have a place in areas in Migori where they tend to believe you get a young child and sacrifice, you'll get gold. So this young girl was being sold, a 3-year-old girl was being sold to somebody who was looking for the gold. You see, that one is something that is weird, something that is not auguring well. And also we should put in mind that there is no selling people, it's not a legal business, it is illegal. So that is why it is becoming rampant each and every day. This is an innocent child being sold innocently. She can't even defend herself. So those are some of the things.
Some of the things. Just listening to what you're saying, and especially, of course, when some of these victims and perpetrators of human trafficking end up in police custody and, of course, in courts, what is coming out is that the laws are there. And some of the safeguards in those laws are very punitive. Why is it then that, this trade continues to flourish, despite the fact that the laws are there, the safeguards are punitive, and they're supposed to be discouraging people to engaging in this illegal trade? However, as we rightly said, and of course looking at the trade, at the statistics, the trade continues to flourish.
The trade is continuing to flourish because, after this couple is out on bond, we had to go further a step and ask why, and they literally tell us they have a right to go to pay some bond, some little money to get out. It's a right, and even according to the law, it is a right. You see, that one is a small amount of money, and it is a business that's why it's also encouraging this business to continue moving on. So to me, I feel like if we can come up with a policy, like you'll notice in the Ministry of Education, we have a law that is covering the issues of education. But after some time, we had a policy that is making things like easier, neutral for them to handle matters to do with education. And that's why we have the free education. We also had a policy in the health sector. So to me, I felt if we can come together with the partners and come up with a policy that is lightening up things to handle such issues, it might augur well, it might work well with us.
Karen, we have laws, existing laws, and from your presentation, you are clearly saying that this country does not lack laws. It actually lacks the willingness to actually ensure that those laws are enforced.
Yeah, we have laws.
However, many policies that you're actually going to put in place, how certain are we that even as we strive to ensure that stakeholders in the sector come together, players in the sector come together, so that then we can actually come up with better policies? How sure are we that they're actually going to be enforced, given that already what we have, and which is very punitive, because if you're supposed to pay 30 million shillings, and life sentence, or whichever amount of years you're supposed to spend behind the bar, then what exactly needs to be done? Because the policies and everything we put in place will have very beautiful papers. What needs to be done so that then we can actually put to rest some of these issues?
What needs to be done is, one, we need to also engage the community members, like we need to do training and awareness, because I remember before starting this project in 2018, we did a research. And this research shows that people don't understand exactly what human trafficking is and modern slavery. And even some of them, they don't even understand where there is a law that is safeguarding their lives. So the first thing we need to do is educate. We do training and awareness to the community members. And when we are training them, we work with the area chiefs. And these are now, they report to the county commissioners. And then they are the ones now to put this motion ahead, because when we start from the grassroots,
basically ensuring that each is actually involved. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually involved and is aware about the same issue. That one is going to help us to a larger percentage. And then we also need to bring those people who have undergone such scenarios, like the survivors, we call them the survivors. Like, they need also to come up openly and even explain some of the experiences that they have been going through. Actually, for us who are in this field, sometimes we feel traumatized, and even to some extent we go through guiding and counseling, because we are handling cases that are very pathetic, cases that are very sad, cases that are discouraging. So when we bring them on board, they can speak up their minds, so that the society will understand what people go through when they are trafficked. And then we have those ones, like the issue of organ removal. I always tell people, organ removal cannot be done by a layman's person. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medic, but organ removal is done by a doctor. This is a professional doctor, so they can get an organ and maybe sell it somewhere or give it to a certain individual. And all this is business. So that's why we are just calling upon, when we hear even from the survivors, we put them on board with the government, with those stakeholders. We hear the views. Actually, we are going to implement that law so that you can continue even saving our people. Then we also need to have the increased collaboration, the collaboration part of it. We have people who are working for the safety of people. We can get the security personnel. We can get other NGOs who are now coming up with the livelihood issues, like in the agricultural sector, who are coming up with activities so that you can also help the entire community so that they cannot fall trap into this. So when we put our minds together in relation to that, I know actually we are going to do something. Not only just coming up with a paper policy, but a policy that is also safeguarding the entire people to help reduce issues of modern slavery.
Karen, the most worrying bit from what you're telling me is that even at times parents do not know that their kids are actually being exposed to human trafficking and, of course, modern day slavery. Worst of it all, even the victims themselves are not even aware that they're actually going through the same. How then do we navigate in terms of ensuring that, one, the awareness is at a level where parents know there are laws, but two, also the injustice that actually follows in terms of their children or their loved ones actually being exposed to trafficking and modern day slavery?
Now, for example, I can give this, and to the Salvation Army, Kenya West, it has worked for us. Like, when we always have stakeholders meetings, and we also have meetings with the community members. As I initially said, most of the community members, community level, they didn't really had a knowledge on modern slavery. So we came up and we've sensitized the community. We've given them information, they're aware. And we also go to an extent and tell them, actually, there is no scholarship, like those ones who are lured with the scholarship. There is no scholarship that is coming to the country, that children are supposed to go to Australia for education, and the Ministry of Education is not aware. So the best thing they should do is they go even to the Office of Education. They do some inquiries. Do you have this existing scholarship for pupils who are going outside? Same applies to the labor. What is the role of labor in our country? How comes labor ministry and the department? How can jobs come in, like in the country? We are advertising that we have jobs that we need over 30 youths who are traveling to Poland. over 80 youths who are traveling to Saudi Arabia or Qatar or other countries. And even the Ministry of Labor, they don't have that information about that. So what we tell them is it's better if before they apply for this job, they should consult even Ministry of Labor to find out whether this job is also existing or it is not there. And then I remember when we had a stakeholders meeting with and the migration office was one of they were the participants in the meeting. They were telling us, for them, their work is to issue the documents for people to go outside. It's none of their business to do a follow-up, where am I going? Because I need a passport, I need a visa, I need to travel. So it's not the role of the immigration office to follow up where I'm going. But when we do this to the community level, before they start it off, actually it will help them rather than falling trap into these danger zones. So those are now some of the things when you are engaging the community, ensure that they have information. And also we also need to give them even a solution, because some of them will tell you, if my child sits here with me, where do you expect me to get income? So it is something that we engage them, we give them the reality, we give them the real scenarios that are there, and also tell them on how some of the reporting channels, if they, in case they encounter such a situation.
These opportunities, of course, are quote-unquote opportunities, because that is where, of course, we find our people actually being lured into slavery and, of course, human trafficking, are packaged as job opportunities, are packaged as scholarships, as you've rightly put it. But the most worrying bit is that most of these opportunities and scholarships are actually done in secrecy. That if I come to you and I tell you that there's an opportunity in Qatar or in this particular country, you don't want even your relatives to know. You want to do it in secrecy, because this is a lifetime opportunity.
Yes, and that is the bigger challenge we also have. It is done in secret. And all these professionals for about 80 years, we've seen survivors, but we've just come across, like, that's the one family that was selling the child. But we've seen survivors. So it is very hard for us to see the traffickers themselves, because they use the channels. According to the research we have, they tend to communicate. Like, somebody goes to a village, the way you said, with a packaged job opportunity, well addressed, yes, well addressed and all that. They send somebody to a community. They do the mobilization with the involvement of even the area chief and even the village elders. Then from there, they do some recruitment and all that. Then this agent hands over to another agent. Then from one agent to another agent. So from there, we have what we call regular and irregular migrations. So regular it's a way we know that there is this proper movement. Like, you can trust this individual and bring this individual back to Kenya. But irregular is the ones we are talking about. We are doing it in secret, because if I'm looking for a job, I need to go for a panel that is open. I've also told even my parents to pray for me. I'm going for an interview and all that, and even some of my friends. But now you see, this is done in secret. It means it is illegal. So we need also to enlighten ourselves. How comes it is done in legal, and I'm going to Qatar, I'm going for greener pastures? People will always believe. So that one shows it is an illegal thing. So we also sensitize them. Anything that is done behind the curtain or anything that is done in darkness, automatically it is illegal.
There are many questions on it.
Yeah.
We will be discussing the research that your organization did, especially on the western bit of the country, right after this break. And of course, viewers, stay tuned, because we'll be coming back shortly after this break. That opportunity that is well packaged, that beautiful opportunity that is well packaged, that you are hiding away from your friends, relatives, and of course family members, that you are going to the foreign country for either job opportunity or a scholarship, might actually be your direct ticket into slavery or being trafficked. Keep it here. We'll be back in a short while. Well, thank you very much, and welcome back. We move into the second phase of it, and of course, we want to look at the hotspots in this country. Western part of the country is, of course, a hotspot, and mainly because of organ removal and, of course, child labor. The coastal part of the country comes in because of, sexual exploitation and human trafficking. The person rightly in charge of that docket is actually here, and of course she'll continue to shed more light on why, of course, we are experiencing those challenges in this part of western part of the country. You did a research, and quite telling that these vices are rampant in Malaba, Busia. Of course, Malaba is also in Busia, Malaba border, and of course Busia border point, Isibania, that is in Migori. That paints a picture. What is that picture?
Okay, thank you. I can give a brief overview on the research that we did as the Salvation Army Kenya West Territory. Before implementing this project, what we did is we did a short research, and we did a research in about 8 counties. That is Eldoret, that's Uasin Gishu, Bungoma, Busia, Migori, Kisumu, and Kitale. And after doing this research, we noticed that some of the hotspots areas were Eldoret, Bungoma, Kisumu, specifically partly in Kisumu town, and also in Sondu areas. As we will understand, Sondu is a border area which is covering several counties, that is Kericho, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kisii, thank you. And then it's also a hotspot area. We also discovered that Isbania, that is areas of Isbania and Kehancha, and also Migori and Malaba, which is in one county, and those are now border areas. So in first one of the projects, we decided to start with the destination places, and this was in Sondu, Bungoma, and Eldoret. You will realize that the road from the highway from Malaba, it goes up to, it's in South Africa or somewhere there. So this is like a way people are trafficked from all the way to different countries. They pass along that route. Most of them settle in Bungoma, and then others go as far as settling in Eldoret as they are moved to other countries as they move. So that's why we said it's better if we can start with those areas. After now doing that for the last 3 years, that is 2019, 2020, 2021, and then partly in 2022, this one now came to our attention that we now need to start covering the borders to see how are the movement fast, because before handling something you need to know the cause of it so that you can see how you can get the solutions to that. Now we moved, firstly we moved to Migori, and in Migori we've been in areas of Isbania, and then we've been in areas of Malaba, and also in Busia. So these are hotspot areas because those are borders. And the challenge we have is we've only focused on the gazetted borders. We've forgotten the porous border part of it. Like Busia is very porous along
the illegal border points.
The illegal border points. That is where people move from Uganda, they come into Kenya, they move as far as they can, they pass through even the Luakaka areas, and then in Tanzania, all the same. It's the border is porous. People move from Isbania or from Tanzania to Kenya along up to the Kehancha areas. And Kehancha is like a place where people tend to hide. Like they go settle there as they now start looking for places now to go and all that. So that's...
That they are holding spaces, basically warehouses for people as they're actually being transported along the trafficking corridor or that particular road, right? Where exactly are they kept? Where are these warehouses? Are they specifically people's homes? Are they specific areas, buildings in urban areas, or where exactly are these people held?
These people are held like, we don't have an exact warehouse, but what they do is they come in the name of a job. They are attached to hotels, Then from there, after a short period of time, they are moved to another place. Then from there, as they move further and all that, because they just give a period of now getting the documentation, you know, what it entails and what it involves. And after talking now about the documentation, if you want to know this is illegal, sometimes they tend to tell you like you need to, they will provide all those documentation and all that for the ferry. As I always give an example, personally I cannot take a flight every now and then. I'm going to Nairobi and all that because it is too expensive. Where are these people getting some money to sponsor over like a large number of people to move them from one country to another, if not like an income that is giving them some large amount of money? So we don't have exact the warehouse they go, but they are attached to hotels. If you will observe, they'll go like in the name of jobs somewhere and all that. Then you also have agents. What you need to know that is that we have agents in all these counties where we are. We have agents. We can have even 10 agents here in Kisumu town. So people will come and settle at my place, maybe for a period of time. Next time they will go and settle in Nakuru, and then the other time they'll go and settle to another area. So it's like an organized crime. Let me put it a better word. It's an organized crime that sometimes noticing it is very difficult. Yeah.
Busia, of course, along the route.
Yeah, along the route. From Busia, they come and settle in Kisumu. Then maybe from Malaba, they come and settle in Bungoma. Eldoret, as they now organize for the travel passports and all that. Yeah.
You raised a very pertinent question just before for the break, and you said some of the people that are actually involved in this trade are not ordinary folks in the village. One, well educated, well connected, and I'm just citing an example of that diplomat from Uganda in UK, who was actually found to be holding one of the relatives against her will for, modern day slavery, right? And that, of course, tells us people that are actually involved in this, in terms of organ removal, in terms of falsification of documents and acquiring of documents, in terms of just planting them in different hotels as they move, are people that are actually well connected. So then moving forward, how do we ensure that we can actually break this racket? We can actually bring to a stop this vice in a way that is decisive and decapitating?
Yeah, first of all, we need to address the law enforcement to come in and help. Like, we address the gaps that are there, because I know, as we've said, the laws are there, but now it's just like addressing them to see how we can work together and curb these issues of modern slavery. Actually, the trend is changing day in, day out. You know, it is human trafficking, the illegal movement. Now it is becoming in as a modern slavery. Initially, they used to recruit. They come in a village and say, we need people to go and work in we need people to go and work in Mombasa. We need people to go and work in a certain area. But nowadays, they're also using the drug. Sometimes somebody just comes in and they give you drugs, and that's all you will get yourself in Mombasa. Maybe all the way from Western region, you'll get yourself in Nairobi and all that. So now it's just addressing the law enforcement to see how we can address the gaps that are there, so that to help our people in the communities. Then the capacity building of the community members. Let us also do what you call the capacity building. Then another thing, we also, for the solution purposes, we also now need to come up with a better solution. Like, somebody will tell you, I'm looking for a greener pasture because I'm looking for a job because I don't have any income and already I have a family and all that. So we need to come up with the things that are like the livelihoods. How can we help even the community members, like addressing the issues of poverty, addressing the issues of unemployment, like in terms of coming up, how can we make use of the resources that are available? And that is what we encourage even the community members, because we can say the government is there, the Salvation Army is there, Other NGO maybe can be there to help it, but resources can never be enough. So it's a matter of like putting together what we have and seeing how we can help our community members.
We are getting a number of questions from our social media handles, and a colleague, Philip Miyawa, has just asked a very pertinent question here. It says the red flags, parents and potential victims in our villages, in our homes who are actually watching. What are the red flags that you can actually tell from the beginning and say that this is not an opportunity but a trap?
Yeah, one red flag is like as I've said, the community should first of all should own like a child. If this child is going for a certain job and yet it is being done in secret, so that is one thing we should now understand. Two, let us be brother's keeper in a way that it's weird. People will tell you in the neighborhood this person keeps on having visitors every now and then. We receive different visitors and all that, but we need to like have brotherhood. I cannot have visitors every now and then. People are coming in, new faces, new and even the surroundings. Sometimes it's like a red flag to some extent, and then also the line like the job opportunities that are coming up. Take an initiative of finding out, like just consulting. It's not a matter of death and all, because you said relatives tend to come in and lie to our people, and then people do just follow up because of their desperate. Let us not look desperate to some of the opportunities that are well packaged, because they always say all that glitters is not gold. So people look at it and say, this job is in Qatar, this job is in America, and they're like excited and all that, and then they fall trap into it. So we learn who is coming, who is our surrounding. Let us understand it better, and also things that are done in secrecy. And also another thing is just consulting. Do more research on how comes this and this is happening, or this job, is it okay? So yeah, something like that.
Viewer from Mombasa, she's called Nelly Kazungu. She agrees with you that corruption is a major issue, and she asks, why is it that whites who, hide under the cover of tourism come into the country, and most of them are engaged in this illicit trade, but none of them are actually arrested? Yes. So,
Pardon?
yes, she says that how come that whites that actually come into the country under the cover of tourism, however, they are actively involved in this vice, but none of them gets arrested, or we don't get to hear them being taken to court over the issue of child or sex exploitation.
Yeah. It is true. That is also the corruption I was just mentioning. People come in the name of tourists, that nothing is being done, and that's where we say, to some extent, the law has broken. Yeah, it's there, but partially it has broken to some extent, because it is happening. Things are there. They're in the media. They're all over. The exploitation is being done. But now the challenge is there is no initiative that is being taken. So corruption. Let us deal with the corruption part of it. Our cry is ever the corruption part of it. Yeah, and even as the Salvation Army, being in this, being an implementer of this project, that is the main thing that has always disturbed me all along. We advocate, we run up and down to the courts, we stand in the gap, but at the end of the day, hey.
Hope. Let us move into the last phase. We just have about 10 minutes now. I know you'll be shocked that we've already done our hour, but we just have around 10 minutes, right? Yes. And we're moving into solutions, yes, because we cannot identify a problem, cry about it, and there's no solution, right? So in this case, you are coming up with a number of solutions, especially for the victims and the parents of and the guardians of the victims. What are some of the solutions that need to be put in place? Then, of course, we avert this problem from the very basic level?
The first solution I can do in terms of survivors, when we get these survivors, let them be like a center point. Let us take good care of them. Let us take them through case management so that they can also see life again.
Because some of the experience are horrific, right?
Yes.
And we don't want to go to the life experience, but just to continue.
Yeah, they're very horrific. So we need to do what we call case management. Another solution is, and let us also ensure when we are engaging the community. We'll always cry about the community being a social work and all that. Let us ensure that the community is owning this initiative. Like, we need to protect one another in relation to these issues of modern slavery and human trafficking. Then let us also do a lot of capacity building, and this capacity building is supposed to be done all the way to the government offices, down to the community level, and also to other NGOs that are also fighting such issues, because I know even UN is also taking lead in this, so we can come together and also provide this awareness and sensitization. And then we also need to look at the causes. What are some of the causes that are leading to human trafficking and modern slavery? We start addressing those causes. If it is an unemployment, yes. If it is unemployment, let us look for jobs. Let us also engage these youths. Let us engage our people. And apart from it, I always say, life is how sometimes you take it. Let us not focus to the greener pasture that will end your life, the rest of your life. You can also make use of the available resources. Engage yourself in farming as you look for jobs. Engage yourself in even planting of crops, keeping of animals, keeping of poultry, beekeeping. There are so many activities that you can also engage ourselves in it. But now the question maybe can come in, how can we, maybe in terms of capital? So when we sit down with the government, with the NGOs that are in place, we can see a way in which we can also help our community members. So let us look at the cause. And then from there, when we see the cause, we can now start addressing the cause.
Also for attitude change, because you as you rightly put it, a well-educated child in Kenya tends to believe that they can only get a better job outside this country, that they can only do they can only have a better life outside this country. There's need for us to change that attitude and actually start embracing opportunities that there are in this country, right?
Yes, that's very true. We have better opportunities here in Kenya. It's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of how are we carrying ourselves to that. Because what is in Uganda is the same as here. What is in Tanzania might tend to be the same as here. In America, it depends. Let us not look. It is peer influence again. Peer influence. Why? My friend went to America and she owns everything, and we were in the same school, same age. So let us not focus on what other people are getting, but let us focus on what can we do better to change our life. Like we call it attitude change. Attitude, let us change the attitudes towards employment, because if we don't talk to our youths, if we don't talk to the people who are learned, sometimes it might be even a challenge. Yeah.
You talked about the need to involve everyone in terms of the basic administration level, at the very basic level, right? Yes. Going all the way up in terms of ensuring that we watch what is happening in the villages. We are our brothers' keepers and sisters' keepers, and we monitor what is actually going on in the villages and these opportunities that tend to come in the villages, right? What else do we need to do so then we strengthen that channel to a level where we will be able to pick out those red flags and actually ensure that those that are actually involved are brought to book? Partnership. Yes.
Yes. Partnership is very important.
Yes. Partnership.
So all those parties or all those organizations that can come in and we work together. I know we have organizations that are fighting poverty. How can we work together to address this issue? We have organizations that are working with against illiteracy, like our children go to school, they get education and all that. How are we going to work together so that we can also change their minds? So partnership, collaboration, networking is very important. It's also going to help us in this.
Days when, a child was a child of the community. Not saying that because Karen ameamua kupeleka mtoto wake ng'ambo, huyo ni mtoto wake. We are not going to ask the pertinent questions, right? Or even the parents will say, huyu ananionea hivi kwa sababu mtoto wangu anaenda ng'ambo.
Yeah, it's there. It happens. But, and that's why you are saying, you get an opportunity, you do it in secret way, and you end up in problems. And I will say this, for instance, I always tell the community members, not all the opportunities we see, they are good. And if you see, say, what has worked for me can kill you, for sure. Yeah, so I can go to America, get a good job, take good care of my parents. Then somebody else will go to America, he or she gets a job, the end result might be pathetic. So we can never be the same. And also, let us not look at things like, I want to be like somebody else. Let us focus on who we are and what we are in position to do, or what we are capable to do. Yeah.
Let us talk about these jobs that we are being told our relatives, our friends, and everyone keeps telling us about that are not gotten through the right channels, foreign countries. Those are red flags. Yes. How can we bring to a stop this exploitation? Because going to an agent, damn expensive. And some of those agencies are very crafty, right? Getting that opportunity through the government channel is also very difficult, right? How then do we ensure that even those that actually want to go outside the country are landing in the right hands and not in the hands of exploiters?
That's why I said we have two types, irregular and irregular migration. Most of our people who have been trafficked, both children and adults, they're through relatives. Relatives have played a largest percentage in trafficking our children. They come in and like somebody else just for the purpose of connection. You see, they earn through these people, and then they leave your child to go. So what I can advise is, let us be very careful when we are giving out our children to our relatives for them to get them jobs. Let us also be very careful, because it has caused more harm to the families than good. Yeah, I always discourage, they look at it, because once you've gone through irregular migration, your chances of coming back in the right way, they are very minimal and they are very difficult, because tracing you is an issue. But if you go through regular migration, tracing you is easy, because they say she was from Kisumu to Nairobi, then from Nairobi she went to this. The documents have not been confiscated, so you are safe in case of anything. But I'm calling upon even our people, let us not rely on these issues that are coming. They normally say behind the curtains. Yeah.
Last word before we finish up, just 30 seconds, please.
Thank you. Thank you. My last word is, for me, I thank the Salvation Army, Kenya West Territory, for coming in with this initiative of helping our community members so that they can be out of these dangers of modern slavery and human trafficking, and also for the communities that we've taken through the training and awareness, and the survivors we've supported, and the partnership we had with the government. So far so good, we can see the results, and we are praying hard. Through more collaboration and intervention, we are going to go far. Thank you.
Great. That is Karen. I'll just read two comments from our viewers. I'll read from Dolphin from Migori. She says she went to Egypt, courtesy of a friend, and what she saw there was exactly what we've actually been discussing here. She says she worked for a year, and after a year, she realized that the money was not enough in terms of taking care of her people at home. Eventually, she had to run from where she was, and she suffered for 3 years before she eventually managed to come back to the country. We also have David from Busia. He says that he's currently following up on a case where a relative was taken by another relative, and they cannot trace their relative. Of course, that is a story that we'll want to follow up. Of course, there are a number of comments that are actually coming in that, of course, speaks to the fact that this is a topic that needs to be discussed further. You can continue, of course, sending us your views and comments on that topic, courtesy of my social media handles. That's Achola Simon across all social media platforms. You can also do so through KBC Channel 1, and we can also do so through Mayenga FM platform. Of course, the digital platform, we've actually been using it to broadcast this live, of course, on behalf of each and every person who's actually made this show possible. Karen, thank you very much for coming. Our operators, Martin, Christine, and all the interns are actually here to see how we do this production. And of course, the management of Mirage Palace Hotel that continue to give us space, then we can actually do this show every Monday morning. Thank you very much.